Hello and welcome, viewers. Today we're going to be diving into a topic that is the heartbeat of every believer's relationship with God. But before we go into that, I want to take you back to when we started this program. We started this podcast 2 weeks ago, and we talked about worship. You know, we talked about worshiping God in spirit and in truth, what worship was as a Christian, as a believer, how we're supposed to worship God. And last Sunday, my colleagues took you through faith. Hebrews 11 verse 1 says, now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Why we are bringing this particular session to you is to build your life as a believer and as a Christian. And today's topic is going to be extremely powerful. We're going to be talking about prayer. Yes, people, we're going to be talking about prayer. What is prayer? To you, what is prayer? As a believer, to everyone, we just see prayer as communication with God, but prayer goes beyond that. It is a deep communication with God. I want to bring you this topic for you to know more about prayer, for you to know how to pray, because a lot of us don't actually know how to pray. And I have with me in the studio one of the pastors of the headquarters of Apostolic Power and Testimony International Ministry. God bless you, sir. Can you tell us your name?
I'm Pastor Joshua Omukoro.
Okay, today's topic, I remember when we talked about worship, I was privileged to have you on set, and today we're going to be talking about prayer. To you, can you tell us about prayer?
Oh, okay. Last time when we talked about worship, I said God is divinity. God is divine.
Yeah.
So I see prayer as a means of communication between humanity and divinity.
Okay.
It's fundamentally an act of communication, talking, asking.
From God?
Yes, asking. It kind of something you need to do. It's like it's something of a must. I can't imagine a believer saying I'm a Christian and you don't pray. I can't imagine a believer, someone that says I'm a Christian. One thing that prayer helps your life. Every day of your life, you do prayers. Every day of your life, before you come out from your house, whatever activity you are doing, prayer is like a backup. It helps you clear the way ahead. So I see it as a communication. It's something whenever you want to talk to God, it's a communication. You don't just come in and you just go out like that, live your life like that.
Now, there's something you actually said that struck me. You said communication. Yes, even to our everyday life, if you're working in any organization or you're schooling, if you're trying to relate with your boss in the office, and there's no good communication, like there has to be a communication between the both of you. And if there's no good communication, you can see that it won't flow.
Definitely.
That's just it. No, prayer is a sender. I'm the one praying, for example. I'm the sender. The message is the prayer. Then God himself is the receiver.
Yes.
Do you understand? So it's basically communication. In our day-to-day life, in everything we do, praying is important. Even when interacting with people, you must communicate. For you to communicate effectively, for you to interact with people effectively, there has to be this good communication. And I'm bringing it down to the Christendom now. It's called prayer. How often do you pray? How do you pray to God? Yes, a lot of persons are doing it wrongly. That is just it. Some of us think it's just by, shouting and everybody will hear that, okay, yes, you actually pray. So can you tell us how to pray?
Okay. Now, one thing, in our last segment during worship, I said something that worship is beyond the four walls of the church.
Yes.
Same as prayers. So many believers have it in mind that we pray only in the church. When somebody be in the altar and say my father, after you leave here, you just go home and relax. No. Prayer is a continuous assessment. The more you pray, the more you build your intimacy with God. The more you build, until you are connected to the source of whatever you are asking for, you cannot receive. So prayer is like a form of connection. A communication for you to connect humanity to divinity.
So does it mean we can pray anywhere? Or it has to be in the church premises, so we can actually pray in our homes, in our place of work,
it's beyond the four walls of the church. It's beyond you can be driving and be praying. You can be cooking and be praying. You can before you sleep you pray. You can be walking on the road and you are praying. You can be running your business at the same time praying. Prayer doesn't really mean you need to pray aloud. Doesn't really mean you need to pray very loud, like everybody must know that she's praying or he's praying or no.
Even in the Bible, if we look at Jesus, as a Christian, we said Christians are Christ-like. If you look at the Bible, 100% of the time, there's a song that said Jesus started with prayer and he ended with prayer. Do you understand?
Yeah.
He started with prayer. Before he did anything in the Bible, he prayed when he was about to feed the crowd with 5 loaves of bread and 2 fishes. The first thing he did was to lift it up and he prayed to God. And even when he was at the cross, he said, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they are doing. He was actually praying because that was the only way he could communicate with his Father. So prayer is communication. Not just communication, deep communication with God. You might be at your place of work and you just want to talk to God about anything and you said, Father, Lord in heaven, you start communicating with God, and that's a form of prayer. So don't just feel praying is not maybe when you just come to church and they said everybody should pray. Some of them will just start crying, even their mind is not there.
Yeah,
same thing with worship. You know, when some of them when they are praying, you see them. It's a lie. It goes beyond the tears on your eyes.
Those are the people who call the emotional believers. They are just waiting for you to trigger that particular. Maybe if it's a worship song, they're waiting for you to sing that particular worship song that will just take them over. They'll be like, oh, or that particular prayer point that maybe before they came to the church, somebody insulted them like, you never born or see your life. Then when they come to church, you now say, anybody that is mocking you, their heart has, but they are not praying from their heart.
From their heart.
Prayer is a connection.
Yes.
It's a means of connection.
To God.
Yes. So God you communicating with God is a means of you connecting with God. You as humanity trying to connect with divinity. So prayer is a straight means of you. Like one thing I see.
A direct link with God. A direct link with God.
Definitely.
Yes. The Bible taught us how to pray. It said if we want to pray, we should actually go into our house, our closet, and pray. Now, I want you to tell us, can you throw more light on that particular place? What does it mean? Does it mean that whenever anyone wants to pray, just like I said, is it by just coming to church? Does it mean that whenever anybody wants to pray, they have to actually go into their closet to pray?
Okay, according to, let me just go through the scriptures for you.
Okay, let's do.
Like, that what you just quoted is Matthew 6, right?
Okay, Matthew 6, verse 6.
Matthew 6, verse 6.
Viewers, Matthew 6, verse 6. We're talking about Matthew 6, verse 6. Okay.
It said, but when you pray, go into your room, close the door, and pray to your Father, who is unseen. Then your Father, who sees what is done in secret, will reward you.
Matthew 6, verse 6. Matthew 6, verse 6.
This part of it is emphasizing on praying in private. You must not be seen, like it's not compulsory that everybody must hear your voice, shout, or you be outside to see. That sometimes I will see when you pray outside for everybody, you see some men of God or some people who go to the mountain. You said you went for a quiet time in the mountain and you are doing video. Look at me in the mountain, I'm praying. Look at me, I'm praying. We're in the mountain now, we're in the mountain top, we are communicating with our spirit. Why not? Video God now. You should just video God and tell us you are communicating with your Father. But now what Jesus is telling us now, he said, go into your room. Your quiet time. He said, he that dwell in the secret place of the Most High God shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. So stay indoors, build. Abdullam, the secret place where men are formed. You take time, you spend time there. When you say study to show yourself approved, when I say study to show yourself, prayers are part of it. When you go in, you build confidence, you build capacity. And when you come out, when you speak, people will wonder how.
Yeah, exactly. There's something I'm actually getting from this particular section now when we talk about prayer. Like I said earlier, talking to your boss or talking to your friend or talking to anybody, you're actually communicating with that person. But if the message is not being passed well to that person, the person will not actually understand, meaning you're not communicating. So the right way to communicate with God is from your heart.
From your heart, definitely.
Sometimes you don't even have to say most of the words. He already knows your heart. From seeing your heart, he knows what you want. So you just have to, when you want to pray, set aside everything. Some of us, it happens I'm going to bring this in. It happens to a lot of us. When praying, you see that maybe one thing will just enter it happens to me a lot too. I might be praying sometimes, one thing will just enter my head. Immediately I will say, oh God, forgive me, and I'll just start continuing my prayer. So when you want to pray, set aside that problem. Set aside that challenges. Know that it's your one-on-one time with God. You are trying to talk to your Father in heaven. I don't know if you guys can hear me. You're talking to your Father in heaven. So set aside that problem that's difficult and communicate with him so that the message will be passed. Because he sees your heart. You might be talking, but your heart is not in sync, in line with what you are saying. I don't know if you understand what I'm trying to say. So prayer as a Christian, praying is compulsory. So what can you tell us as a Christian now, just quickly before I let you go, how does prayer affect a Christian's day-to-day life?
Okay. One thing I would say is some of us we are good in asking. But one thing I believe is a less effective prayer life affects your life.
A prayerless Christian
is
a powerless Christian.
Yes.
That's it.
Because it's actually builds your confidence. Prayer builds your confidence. It said, for this is the confidence we have in Christ Jesus, that we may ask of anything in his name. So how can you ask when you don't commune? You understand? So communication in prayer, when you pray frequently, it helps to build your confidence. It helps to give you rest of mind also. We see it as guidance.
Thank you so much, sir. We're so happy to have you here today. You know, last 2 weeks we talked about worship. I said earlier, last week we talked about faith. Today we are bringing to you prayer. As a Christian, you have to be prayerful. A prayerless Christian is a powerless Christian. It is what you have inside. That's what you say, Esther. You have to be prayerful. We're always bringing you this section to build yourself, your life, your faith, and everything about you. So we want you to pray, and not just praying amiss. Pray from your heart. Remember, prayer is a deep communication. It's a relationship. Prayer builds your relationship with God. It builds your connection with God. And you must pray with a sincere heart, talking to God, communicating. Like I said, if you cannot communicate with your fellow human effectively, talk more about communicating with God. So we have to pray, stay prayerful, stay blessed, stay disciplined, and remember, prayer is not just the key, it is one of the keys. My name is Sandra Choma. Stay connected. God bless you.